Welcome to another financially fabulous episode. I'm Lemore, and I'm going to show you how to crush it with your finances. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about what to do if you're in foreclosure. Come on, this will be interesting. If you are at the start or at any point throughout the process of foreclosure, this is not a joke. This is something to take very, very seriously. Now, I know if you're getting these kinds of notices, if you're super behind on all of your bills, behind on your credit card, behind on your cell phone, and you're in foreclosure, you're likely in a place where things are actually pretty challenging. And I feel for you because it's really tough, and a lot of the times things are not your fault. I mean, you can't be the victim, and you do have to take financial responsibility for what's happening around you, but being in a situation where you are being foreclosed on can be very, very challenging and overwhelming and a little bit scary, not being sure what to do or what in fact is going on. So let me explain that in Canada, we actually have two different foreclosure systems depending on what province you're in and where your property is located. If you are in Ontario, the system is called Power of Sale. And if you are in most other provinces in Canada, the system is actually called the Judicial System. Now, the big difference is that in Ontario and provinces that have a power of sale process, what happens during foreclosure and the exact proceedings, the amount of time, the elements within the foreclosure process are actually outlined in your mortgage when you signed up front. So you probably didn't read the fine print. I know most of us don't read the fine print when we're signing mortgages, but if you are in Ontario, what's going to happen throughout the foreclosure process is actually already outlined at the start of the process when you signed your mortgage. If you're in a province where there is the judicial system, well, then there is an actual person, a judge, who decides exactly what the proceedings are going to look like, how long it's going to take. So as a result of that, when you're in foreclosure in the judicial system, the process is quite a bit longer, usually sort of in the range of 12 to 18 months from start to finish. And with the power of sale provinces, it's usually a lot quicker. So within like 3 months, you can be out of your house and things can unfold very quickly. So no matter what province you're in, if you have started receiving notifications from your bank, from your mortgage lender saying, you're in serious trouble, you'll know this. If you're behind on your payments, all of a sudden the payments will be much, much higher because you'll have back payments, you'll have daily interest that's being accumulated, there will be legal payments once a lawyer gets involved. So the interest rates and all of the fees associated with it start to accumulate really, really quickly when you're behind on your mortgage and foreclosure is on the way. So if this is happening to you, make sure you're opening all of your bills. I know it can feel like the easiest thing is just to ignore it. It's easy to be in denial and say, oh, no, this isn't happening to me. Everything's gonna be okay, because there's also a challenge that's caused you to be in this situation. So whether you've lost a job or there's a health challenge or some other thing that's happened in your life, some debt that's really snowballed and you don't really know how to get out of it, really, it can be a tough situation, but you want to make sure that you're facing it head on. I know that can be really, really uncomfortable, but if you're ignoring it, it's really only going to get worse. And, while the foreclosure process ends up in the bank taking back your property, there's actually a few other things that happen along with it that you may not realize that, in my opinion, can actually be even more dire than your property being taken away. So first and foremost, if you've got equity accumulated in the property, because of all of these fees, all the legal fees, interest payments, daily interest, back payments, all kinds of penalties that you'll be running into, if you've got some equity, there's often a really good chance that the equity gets swallowed up really quickly because of all of these fees, because they do need to be covered off. And so when the bank takes your property, of course, all of these fees need to be paid back. Now, of course, it depends on how much equity you have, but in many instances, it can actually eat up a lot of any of the equity that may be left over. And there's a good chance you'll walk away with nothing, even if the property has appreciated or you've been paying down your mortgage in a very meticulous way for many months or many years. And that's a little bit of the sad process. The second thing that happens is that your credit will be severely, severely damaged. So in many instances, if you had a mortgage and you qualified for it up front, and you owned a property and your property is foreclosed on, there's a very good chance you'll never qualify for a mortgage again. So if you're going through some temporary hardships, maybe you've lost your job or there's a health or there's an illness that's happening in your life at the moment, Making sure that you do not go through the foreclosure procedure will ensure that when things start to recover again, maybe if you get another job, if you start feeling healthy and things start going your way, you actually can potentially purchase another property in the future. But if you've gone through the foreclosure proceedings, it's really, really tough to qualify for a mortgage ever again in your lifetime. The next thing that you may not be aware of that happens when you go through foreclosure proceedings is that if you still have your job, or let's say you and your partner live in a home together and one of you has lost the job and the other one's using their income just for things like food or maybe your cell phone bill, some of the more necessities of life, although I don't know if a cell phone is really a necessity, but many of us would treat it that way. If one person is still employed, or if you're still employed, what the financial institution can actually do is start to garnish your wages. So what that really means is the same way when you get your paycheck from your employer every Friday, twice a month, or the first of the month, whenever it is, you know how the taxes have already been removed when you get your paycheck? Well, the same thing will happen. So every single time you get paid, the financial institution will actually take some of your wages. And what's really, really tough is that what I've seen is that they will take just enough so that your income isn't low enough so you can file for bankruptcy. So really, really, really puts you between a rock and a hard place. And this garnishing of wages will continue to happen until all of your debts are repaid, which can sometimes take a very, very, very long time and can make it much more difficult for you to recover financially. So if you are in foreclosure proceedings, if you started getting notices, please, please, please take it seriously and address the financial institution. You know, you want to reach out to them and see what is going on, what are your options. Can you take a vacation payment from your mortgage for 1 month to be able to recover a little bit faster? Some mortgages will allow you to do that, and they'll add the payment to the end of the term of your mortgage. You can sometimes delay the foreclosure if you're being responsible and reaching out, but if you are just ignoring it, you're going to be in a really, really tough situation and things can unravel very, very quickly. Which brings me to my tweetable today. Don't ignore the first signs of foreclosure. The first signs is really, really just the beginning. And while you may not want to face the music, it's much better that you call the financial institution. Maybe you call a foreclosure lawyer. If you're stuck, you can even send me an email. I'll link up my email below, because foreclosure is something that you do in fact have options. Obviously not a ton of options. The reality is that you owe money. But you know, if you're on top of it and you recognize what's happening, you have an opportunity maybe even to sell your property to higher than fair market value, or sell it just to make sure that you can pay off all of your debts and you don't have some of the other dire consequences. So my challenge to you, first and foremost, is if you've noticed that you're starting to get these letters in the mail, these notices in the mail, I know it's really tough. I know you don't want to face the music, but start by opening them up, you know, and giving a phone call to a lawyer. Like I said, if you need me, just send me an email. And you know, make sure that you understand what your options are, so you don't end up in a situation where, you know, it's the middle of winter, you're kicked out of the street, the bank's taking your money, your credit is ruined. It's a really, really dark place to be, and I want to make sure that you are being financially fabulous and that you know what your options are when you get to that situation. Did you like this video? Did you learn something? Subscribe to my channel. It's free. And if you want even more tips and tricks to make your finances fun and exciting, come on over to leemore.money. I've got lots of great resources for you to download for free. Remember, I'm not here to change who you are or how you change your life. I just have strategies to make you even more financially fabulous. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Till then, stay fabulous. And that's how we roll. Da 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 da.